Back at Virginia Beach for more of our coverage of the 2025 NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships. John Anderson, Dan O'Brien, and Laura Overton, along with me, Dwight Stones, bringing you the action. Preliminaries day for the most part on the track. There are the meet and NCAA lead records for the 60-meter hurdles, 2 heats. Akira Nugent has the NCAA meet record, and Bebe and Wilson both have run 7:95 this year. And there is Onika Wilson. She will be in this first heat. Bebe will be in the second heat from Clemson and from Jamaica. She is the co-collegiate leader.
Well, and there you get to see that panel there. 3 straight ACC championships for the young Jamaican. She's coached by the legendary Lennox Graham, who also coached Danielle Williams to a world title. And one of the things, talking to her coach, he said she needs to stay forward coming off that first hurdle. If she can come off that first hurdle and continue to stay forward, keep driving off that first hurdle, she's going to be in really good shape. There's Layla Anderson, and we need to keep an eye on these lady volunteers here. They went 1-2 at the SEC championships. Now they've got 3 here in the finals at the NCAA championships. So talking to Dwayne Ross, he said they wanted a sweep at the SECs. If they didn't get it there, maybe they can get it at the NCAA championships. Much harder to do that, but Layla Anderson will be over there in lane 6. And this is Aaliyah McCormick, the Big Ten champion. And she said she loves the big moment. She loves the bigger the moment, the more she anticipates it, the more she's happy to be in the middle. She wants to be in the middle of the track. She wants to be in the mix. She's just like, every year it gets a little bit bigger for her, and every event that gets big, she's like, I'm made for the big moment, so bring it on.
Scratch in lane number 2. It was supposed to be Alexis Glasgow of Kentucky. She is withdrawn. And Aaliyah McCormick, as we mentioned, from Oregon. She's the number 4 collegiate runner in the nation this year. There are the lane assignments, with Wilson in 3, right, and McCormick right next to her in lane number 4.
In the middle of the track there in lane 5, it's a school record holder from Brazil out of Washington State, Michaela de Mello. She holds the top 3 times ever run by Washington State Cougar, and this was her first trip to the NCAA championships, indoor championships.
So like the 60-meter dash, the top 2 finishers in each of these 2 semifinal heats will automatically qualify to the final, then the next 4 fastest times over the 2 heats. Good start for Wilson in 3, but it's McCormick and Wilson, and then here comes DeMello. It was McCormick right at the end. You could see the green singlet of Oregon right there at the line. Unofficially 7:97 now, officially 7:97. That was Marissa Simpson of UTEP who took a tumble in the middle of the race. And it was Onika Wilson also automatically qualifying. Layla Anderson ended up finishing 4th for Tennessee.
Well, great start for everybody there in the middle of the track. Layla Anderson ran well the first couple of hurdles, but it was lanes 2, 3, and 4 that really, or 3, 4, and 5 that really pushed it over. There you see Marissa Simpson go down on the inside lane, but look at that lean by Aaliyah McCormick to take the heat victory. Onika Wilson right there as well. Ladies aren't running quite as fast in the hurdles this year as they have over the last couple of seasons, so that almost makes it a little more competitive, but it's nice to see some times under 8 flat.
So McCormick and Wilson automatically, safely through to tomorrow's final. The other 4 in that heat have to wait to see what happens in semifinal number 2. The bubble is 8:13. If you want the top 2, you need to be faster than 8:13 if you want to make tomorrow's final. Moving along to semifinal number 2, middle of the track, lane number 4, the senior from Tennessee. We talked about her earlier. She's the co-collegiate leader at 7:95, Marina Bebe.
Well, she was a little bit of a surprise winner at the SEC Championships, but I got to give her the props and the trophy for the best celebration. And we talk about the SEC Championships, it just means more, but she fell to the ground, sobbed, and John could barely catch up with her to get her in an interview, but so ecstatic that she won. But she had a big weekend. You know, she was actually, we found out that her brother had passed earlier this season. She dedicated the race to him, and then the following day after she won that SEC title, she was baptized with a lot of her teammates around her. So a big weekend for that young lady.
Marina Bebe will start out of lane 4, but over in lane number 3, this is Texas Tech's Naomi Krebs. She's from Germany. She's number 3 amongst collegians in 2025.
Well, she has dipped under 8 seconds a couple times this season. This is the first time she's come here to these NCAA championships. Just a junior. Calvin Robinson is high on her over there in Red Raider land. Asia Laurentian, she was second to Aaliyah McCormick at the Big Ten Championships by just an eyelash. But Laurentian, she's made it to the championships here 3 years in a row. She holds the St. Lucian national record.
So Krebs in 3 on the right side of your screen, then Bebe in the middle, and Laurentian on the left. Top 2 automatically qualified to tomorrow's final. Movement. Both Krebs and Bebe were moving. So let's see what happens here. We saw already one disqualification early on the 60 meters.
Ooh, that was a big flinch there by Naomi Krebs. And if Mariana Bebe, if she was flinching, it was just barely, but it was Krebs. Looked like Bebe might have leaned a little bit, but it was Krebs who had the big flinch.
So they're awaiting their fate. They want to see a green or a yellow card, not a red one. The decision was made very quickly in the 60 meters. Here comes the official. And that is a DQ for Krebs in lane 3. So I know there's been controversy in the past about blocks that are used. Dan, do you know if they're using pressure blocks here and that therefore she would release pressure from her block?
Well, those blocks appear to be all wired up. You know, we're going to have to get the word. Yes, we're seeing Tom Lewis is telling us that these are the pressure-tested blocks. And so that's, I think that's why Tima God Bless. I think that's why she got the exit so quick. And here we see Naomi Krebs, who really just, I think this experience would have been great for her, being her first time at a national championships. It was a flinch. There was no doubt about it, but she did not leave the blocks. And I thought maybe that's why they gave Tima God Bless the disqualification, but nope, they're gonna kick out Naomi Krebs, and she'll have to rejoin us in the outdoor season.
Bebe on the right, Lorenzen on the left. Great start for Tabuko of UCF in 6, but now here comes Lorenzen. And on the outside, that is Torian, Annalise Torian of Auburn. Oh, that Covington, pardon me, lane 7, Covington, Jaya Covington of Texas A&M, a personal best for her, 7:94. That's the collegiate leader for 2025. Nobody looking at her over there in lane 7. She was so far separated, I thought she was on the outside. So a little bit of an unlooked for performance by the junior from Houston.
Well, if this time holds, it's going to be her first time under 8 seconds. This was a really interesting start. Wow. Tabogo from Central Florida, she really blasted out. She got out so good, it almost looked like a false start. But Jaya Covington, she was one who was able to respond. Laurentian as well, but Bebe in the middle of the track just got absolutely left. But Laurentian, she did everything she could just to get across the line and get into the finals.
So the bubble went down to 8:06, which is what it was last year. There are your advancers to qualify. No Bebe, no Krebs, but Jaya Covington at 7:94. A breakthrough performance for the Texas A&M junior. There are the meet and NCAA leads. Julian Alfred, the Olympic champion in the 100 meters, has the meet record. And Tima Godbless, who is in this first of two semifinals, has the fastest time run by a collegian this year.
Well, and what a season Tima Godbless had last year. Listen to this. She was the first freshman woman in the nation to earn 3 first-team All-American honors, and the first to do so since 2019, Sha'Carri Richardson. So she's following in some really fantastic footsteps, but she did make the Olympic team. Godbless represented Nigeria in the 100 meters, 200 meters, and the 4x100 meter relay in Paris. And we're going to talk a lot throughout this weekend, Dwight, about Olympians that have come back to college. A number of Olympians we're going to see over the weekend in a lot of the sprint races, distance races, and even the field events. There's Brianna Liston, the defending champion. She got a little bit of a late start to the indoor season. She cut her outdoor season a little bit short last year. People in Jamaica certainly wondered why she was packing things in after the NCAA championships, but she knows she has a lot of track and field ahead of her. They got her a late start in Baton Rouge, and she stepped on the track and immediately made an impact to the national rankings. She caught up to Tima Godbless in no time, but Brianna Liston looked like she was poised to win the SEC title, but Kayla Jackson snuck away with it there at College Station. But the LSU Tigers always strong. And then there you see to the right of picture, that's India Mayberry, the freshman from Fort Worth, Texas. She decides one of the top sprinters in the country, the top sprinter in the country. Texas State Championships, so difficult to win high school championships in the state of Texas. But just a freshman, she decides she's going to stay home. And she immediately had an impact on the national standing. She led the nation in the first 3 weeks of the season, both in the 60 meters and the 200. This is our first opportunity to really get a good look at the youngster, India Mayberry.
Brianna Liston in lane 3, right of your screen. She is the defending champion and the number 2 time in collegiate history. Only Julian Alfred has run faster, and she's run much faster. So the top 2 finishers in each of these 2 semifinal heats automatically qualifying to tomorrow's final. Then the next 4 non-auto qualifiers will advance. It could all come from one heat, or they could be spread across the 2 semis. Here are the lane assignments for heat number 1. You see Liston in lane 3, her teammate Tima Godbless in lane 5, with India Mayberry, the fantastic freshman from TCU, in between them in lane 4.
We got another good-looking freshman in lane 6. That's Victoria Cameron from Tarleton State. She was the WAC indoor 60-meter champion. What I love about the national championships, you get all these conference champions coming together in one place, truly proving who is the best.
This is a tough meet to make. The top 16 times or distances or heights throughout the nation get the invitation to come here. It's a long hold, and Tima Godbless can't stay in that position. There may be a failure with the gun. We'll have to see what they say. She's hoping for a green card or a yellow card, not a red card.
Well, India Mayberry definitely flinched. That gun was way longer than I expected it to be. India Mayberry flinched, and then Tima Godbless, she could not hold her position any longer. Ooh.
And Godbless is going to be disqualified.
Ooh.
That's tough. So Godbless is out of the semifinal. Let's take another look. So you can see Mayberry did flinch. And God bless just couldn't hold it any longer and was distracted by it. But that's not the way the judges saw it.
Wow, that was a quick, really quick ruling. And I thought the judges might take a look at that. There was a long hold. There was a little bit of movement across the board. Wow.
Well, there isn't a ninth lane, so it can be protested, of course. So then there were 7. Liston in 3, Mayberry in 4. Another pretty long hold. Mayberry got a terrible start. Here comes Liston. Also, Shanice Walker from Florida State right there at the top. I think she at least got a second place finish, 7:12 unofficially. India Mayberry really had a tough time getting going the first 25 or 30 meters. Finally got into her running stride. It was Mayberry who ended up at the tape. I'm not believing those times at all. There's no way that's 0.05 of a second separating that group. So Mayberry and Liston automatically qualifying.
Well, I think this false start in the first time around got everybody just kind of sitting in the blocks. And that was Lexi Brown from Baylor. She had a good run, but look at India Mayberry just come through at the very end. She and Brianna Liston looked like they were running stride for stride. And then about 10 meters from the line, India Mayberry managed to just break free a little bit, but always frustrating. Get this meet started to see a false start like that. These athletes, you can see they had a sense that they did not want a false start on that second go around.
So Liston and Mayberry automatically through. Alexis Brown and Shanice Walker will have to wait to see if they can advance. There are the official results. There's no way that was a 0.05 of a second separation between Mayberry and Liston, but it doesn't matter. They are automatically qualified based on place. 7:27 is the bubble at this point. Heat number 2. And we're looking at Jaden Mays, the senior at Oregon. She was in the Olympic trials, finalist in the 200 meters last year.
Well, this is her final season, the final track meet, as a matter of fact, like a number of Oregon Ducks, but this will be her last track meet as an Oregon Duck. And she said she was a little sad. I got a chance to talk to her yesterday, but she's also excited about making the transition to the outdoor season, becoming a professional, but maybe the most successful sprinter that the University of Oregon has ever had. And there is the newly crowned SEC champion. And she said after winning that SEC title, she's like, I've been second, I've been third. Finally, she got a win here in 2023-24. She was the runner-up. Could it be Kayla Jackson's year? She's a phenomenal starter. And Carol Smith Gilbert says this is the little engine that could. She just continues to make finals, continues to run well in big meets.
And way out in lane 1, also from Southern Cal, this is Samira Moody. She runs 7:07 in her career, but 7:15 this year. She's looking to make her first NCAA final. You can forget about those athletes out on the fringes sometimes. There are the lane assignments with Mays in 3. Kayla Jackson, the SEC champion, in 6.
And keep an eye on lane 4. Deja DeFran, she's run quick this year, 7:10 at the Big Ten Championships.
Great start for Kayla Jackson, 3rd from the left. It's Jackson, but she's got some work to do now. Come to the line, she wins it. She wins the heat, 7:10 unofficially, corrected to 7:11. And Jaden Mays gets the automatic spot for 2nd. Very close for 2nd, 3rd. Mays ends up getting that automatic position. Deja DeFran ends up 3rd with her teammate Samira Moody 4th. So they've got some sorting out to do. May have to go down to the 1,000th of a second to get the time qualifiers.
Well, this is business as usual for Kayla Jackson. She is so consistent with her start. I don't know if I've ever seen her get a bad start in a championship meet, but she gaps the field at the beginning, and then she just continues to pull away, continues to put pressure on the rest of the field. There you see Jaden Mays. She really had to dip. Deja DeFran as well. They had to really work to get through to make sure they made it to the final.
There are the advancers. You can run 7:21 and still make it. Both Lady Trojans, or women of Troy, I should say, are in the final. But the leading qualifier, Kayla Jackson of Georgia, the SEC champ, it's going to be a quick one tomorrow in the final. All right, 200 meters semifinals, just like the 400, all on time. There's the meet record by Olympic champion Julian Alfred. Jamisha Ford has the fastest time in the country this year at 22:34. And in this race, Cameron Dixon of Texas A&M got a lousy lane 4 lane draw. Not great, pretty tight for running all out in one lap of this track. And outside, Brianna Howard, the senior from Texas Tech, also has run very quickly this season.
Well, Brianna Howard, she did not get her qualifier for the Nationals here until the Big 12 championships, literally just weeks ago, but she was second.
Taylor Snare of UCLA puts up her hand. If any of you are high school runners out there, that is the smart thing to do if you're down in your on your marks position, you don't feel comfortable. Don't try to make a good start out of a bad preparation. Just put your hand up. They've got to call them up and let you go back and resettle yourself. Remember, it's every level of our sport. One false start and you're done, except in the multis where you get one.
Well, there you see a good look at Brianna Howard. Now these athletes have to regroup. You get up from the blocks. You go through a whole routine to get down there into your position. You get all set, and then you have to stand up. But it's just a matter of starting over, start your routine over, and just there you see Cameron Dixon. Yeah, bad lane draw for her. Dwight will get a chance to see how quick these inside lanes are, but the future is bright for that young lady. NCAA's Outdoors last year, she qualified in the 100, 200, 4x1, and 4x4. So she is making some real big inroads to compete here at the national level.
Lane 6, Brianna Howard, her goal, not to see her competitors until after the finish line. One lap of the track, all out. The top 8 times over 4 heats will determine our finalists for tomorrow. Pretty even so far. Dixon is digging hard in lane 4. Snare of UCLA now getting dropped, but it's going to be Dixon coming off the turn. Cameron Dixon digging hard. 22:98 unofficially. 22:97 now. So she establishes the fastest time, and it's not far off her personal best.
Well, we talk about the outside lanes being just the quicker lanes on an indoor track, but this track is not configured like a lot of indoor tracks that these athletes run on. Texas A&M's a lot steeper. Arkansas a lot steeper. This track's a little bit flatter. Turns are a little bit wider and more shallow. And there you see Cameron Dixon come off in lane 4, and she's trying to join her teammate who got through in the hurdles, in the hurdle qualifying, Jaya Covington, and get a chance to run in the finals tomorrow.
There are the official results. Last year it took 22:90 to make it into the final, so this might tell us a little something about the track that Dan just described. The configuration a little bit different, maybe not as conducive for speed on these shorter sprint oval races. As we get ready for heat number 2, semifinal number 2, and on the outside there are actually 3 women of Troy in this heat. Don't know how that happens, but it did. It's Deja DeFran. We saw her in the 60 meters earlier. She qualified through to tomorrow's final.
Well, she swept the Big Ten titles in the 60 and the 200 meters. She was a track athlete of those championships. You look at Southern Cal in lane 6, 5, and 4. Tough to qualify all 3 people through in a situation like this, Dwight. But they all have personal bests and seasonal best that could get them through. There you see Madison White. She'll be in lane 5, and then Jasani Carter should go in lane 4. I got a chance to talk to Quincy Watts yesterday, and he just is so high on this sprint group. He said, and when asked, what do you want your athletes to do? He said, just do what you did to get here. You talk to the coaches. No big instructions, whether it's Mike Holloway or Chris Bucknam. It's just like, you don't have to do anything special. Do what you did to get here, and you'll make it through to the finals.
There are the lane assignments. You can see right there, women of Troy in 4, 5, and 6. Second of 4 heats. Top 8 times over the 4 heats qualify for tomorrow's final. 2-section final.
Well, I asked Coach Watts about the travel schedule, because one of the things that people were worried about, those West Coast teams that were going into the Big Ten Conference or the ACC Conference, has the travel affected you? And he said, honestly, it really hasn't. They did not travel a whole bunch to the Midwest until it became championship time.
Carter in 4, White in 5, DeFrand on the outside in 6. All out and against the clock for 1 lap.
Little bit of movement on the outside there by Deja DeFrand before the gun went off. But look at Madison White go.
Madison White in lane 5 has the lead coming off the turn. DeFrand is trying to catch her. It's a sweep for the Trojans, but the time is what matters. 22:80 officially for Madison White. $22.90 for her teammate, Deja DeFrand.
Well, and last year Madison White missed the finals by 1/1000th of a second. Here you see her second from the left. She really does a nice job of coming off the turn and staying nice and tall. But I'll tell you, once you get off the turn, you think you got a little room to run, but you get off the turn, a little bit of downhill, boom, and there is the finish line. That's how fast the finish line comes at you. So we're still trying to figure out, which are the fast lanes. And right now I'm kind of leaning towards lane 4 and 5 as being just a little bit quicker than lane 6.
It was a 1-2 sweep for women of Troy, but Jasani Carter ended up 4th at 23:05. That's still a very quick time on this track. The bubble is 23:42. So they'll have to wait through 2 more heats to see if they get a chance of making it into tomorrow's final. That was a quick heat. Remember, 22:90 was the time last year when we were up in Boston. Okay, heat number 3, and this is India Mayberry, the freshman from TCU. She will start out in that lane 6, number 3 amongst collegians. This year, she is the fastest freshman in the country.
Well, talking to her coach, Tyrone Edgar, I asked him, how on earth did you get her to stay home? So many young athletes, when they grow up in a community that's got a prominent college or a prominent track and field program, they want to go out of state. They want to go someplace else and go to college. But India Mayberry from Fort Worth, Texas, she stays in Fort Worth, ends up going to TCU, and he said, she's really family oriented. She's going to have a lot of family members here at these championships. But it was important for her to be around her family, so TCU just made sense. And there you see Jaden Mays, and she's a family-oriented person as well, but comes from a huge family of athletes. She's got a cousin, Isaiah, who's playing in the NFL. He plays for the New York Jets, but her mom and dad will be here. She said they were coming in last night. But quick athletes on the outside here. It's been interesting to see India Mayberry. I saw her times all season long, but this is the first time we're getting a chance to see her.
Both Mayberry and Mays made it through in the 60 meters. Mayberry with the 2nd fastest time. Mays with the 3rd fastest time. The bubble time here, 23:42. Fastest time run so far, 22:80. Mays in 5 in the green of Oregon. Mayberry in 6, the freshman on the outside. very close between those two. Kayla Jackson got that lousy lane 3 draw, but she's trying to make the best of it. It's Mays, now Mayberry and Mays. 1-2, 22:52 unofficial, that's quick. Lowered to 22:50. So Mayberry certainly in the final here, as well as the 60. Jaden Mays, 22:59, also a fine time. The 2 fastest times runs so far today. That is going to lower the bubble significantly.
Well, Jaden Mays, she shows up at championships and she always makes finals. I think these athletes, the 2 athletes on the outside, did a really good job of pushing each other. Jaden Mays came up before they went into the turns 3 and 4. India Mayberry, she felt Jaden Mays there, was able to make the adjustment, pull away at the ends. Really solid running by the freshman, showing a lot of confidence. Certainly not running like a freshman here at these championships.
Right now, all of those times would qualify because the bubble is 23:03, but there's still one more heat remaining. There's a couple of pretty good athletes in this final heat. 23:03 the bubble. Last year was 22:90. 4th and final heat. And in lane 5, the sophomore from South Carolina, Jamisha Ford. She has never lost a 200-meter race to another collegian.
And Laris just said she didn't love the 200 meters indoors. You got a chance to ask her a question. She said no, she much prefers outdoors.
Yeah, well, she said she didn't race a whole lot indoors when she was in high school. Just maybe did one championship meet, so it's been a bigger adjustment for her on the indoor track. Nonetheless, she has found such great success indoors and outdoors. She was really fun in that press conference yesterday. Also mentioned that she has a ton of family that was able to drive and be here pretty close for all of them to be on hand. So she said she lost track of how many of those tickets she gave out. She said, "You will hear them." I asked, "Is it a rowdy bunch?" She goes, "Oh, absolutely."
Her 22:34, the fastest time in the world this year. On her outside in lane 6, the senior from UTEP and Jamaica, Nisha Berger. She's run 22:39, albeit at altitude, still a very quick time. Number 2 amongst collegians. So you're the number 1 and number 2 collegians in the country paired in the same final heat of these 200-meter semis.
And we talk about the U.S. Olympic trials being a gauntlet. Naisha Berger, she was 3rd at the Jamaican trials last year behind Sharika Jackson and Lene Tave-Thomas. Talk about a tough team to make, that Jamaican sprint squad.
23:03 is the bubble time. Little trouble with the blocks in lane 3. That's Adriana Tatum of Arizona State down there in lane 3. Anya Jackson, the freshman from Arkansas, in lane 4. There is Tatum. Personal best for all 4 of these runners under 22:90. Jamisha Ford in 5, Nisha Berger in 6. It's a great lane draw for Ford with Berger out there in front of her, something to focus on. And through the far turn, it's all Jamisha Ford. Now it's just a matter of what will her time be and what will Berger's time be. Will they advance to finals? 22:57 unofficially, 22:55. So that's the 2nd fastest time run today. Just another day at the office for Ms. Ford, who is yet to lose to a collegian at this distance. And 22:91 for Berger.
Well, Jamisha Ford, she just looks so relaxed when she runs, but she's got fantastic turnover, good strength. She gets the most out of every single stride, and she never ever seems like she gets out of good postural alignment. Haven't seen her really struggle even in a 400 meters, but she comes from a little bit more of a heavy 400 meter background, so she says these 200 meters are a walk in the park.
So you can see there the advancers to final took 22.96, so ever so slightly slower than last year in Boston. But those are your finalists. They will race in a 2-section final tomorrow. There is Britton Wilson's NCAA meet record. That was in Albuquerque at altitude. And the fastest in this season is by Aaliyah Butler. She ran 49.78 earlier this season. In fact, it was at the SEC Indoor Championships 2 weeks ago.
Well, there's Zaya Eikens. Had a chance to speak with her yesterday just for a second, and we saw her all over the track at the SEC Championships, and I said, you're going to have as busy of a weekend? And she said, no, absolutely not. She ran the 200, the 400. She qualified in the finals in both, and then she ran both relays, the DMR and the 4x4, for the Gamecocks 2 weekends ago, and she said, no, light duty, I'm only running the 400 meters and the relay. So few couple times around this track, but she has been so positive for this South Carolina squad. Everybody thinks about Jamesia Ford and that South Carolina team, but she has got a fantastic team around her. There you see Savannah Sutherland, the NCAA champion in the 400-meter hurdles 2 years ago, but she's an outstanding 400-meter hurdler as well. Represented Canada this summer at the 2024 Olympics, and she did make the final. She finished 7th in the 400-meter hurdles, but she holds the Canadian national record in the outdoor 400-meter hurdles, and she also holds a Canadian national record for the indoor 400, so she is very good at this event.
There are the lane assignments for the first of 4 heats. See Eikens on the outside, Sutherland drawing lane 4. It's not great. A little bit tighter turns. You work a little bit harder that first lap. Again, the top 8 times over these 4 heats will advance. So it's possible for 4 athletes to advance out of 1 heat into the final, or for no athletes out of a heat to advance.
And guys, I'll tell you, talking to the coaches, they said the 400 meters might have been the toughest event to qualify for this year. It took 51.8 or better to get here.
And that lane 6 draw can be an advantage and a disadvantage. You get a little bit more downhill going off the second turn, but you also don't get to see anybody. You really are almost running a time trial. From the inside, it's Arnold of A&M, Sutherland for Michigan, Masarewa of Auburn in lane 5, and then Zaya Eikens on the outside. And Masarewa making a move to try and maybe get the pole. It's so important to do that if you can, but how much energy do you expend doing it? They break for the pole now. And Eikens is trying to get it, but she can't. 23.9 for the first 200 meters. Now the work begins for Zaya Eikens. And for all the athletes, again, it's all on time. You really can't afford, especially in the first heat, to leave anything on the track.
Well, and Savannah Sutherland, she's running this whole second lap in the outside lane. She's going farther. She's working harder, but we'll see if it pays off.
Masarewa of Zimbabwe, and for Auburn, she wins the heat unofficially. 51-51. That's a lifetime best for her. Zimbabwe national record holder in the 400, both indoors and outdoors, and part of that great sprint crew down in Auburn with Coach Leroy Burrell.
Well, and sometimes you come to a big meet like this and you don't want to change a lot of tactics, but you just want to push a little harder. And Masvareva, she said, man, I'm going to get the pole and I'm going to make everybody chase after me. And she did a wonderful job. She got out front, and anytime if you can get out front, make everybody else do the work behind you. And there you see this senior from Zimbabwe just really control that race from start to finish. Things got a little tricky as these athletes, they break in there. In that last 50 meters of the first lap, they've got to be really careful as they come up the turn and then back onto the straightaway. Make sure they get past the cones before they break to the inside.
There are the official results, and we will have to wait to see a few more heats to see if those are good times and that they will hold up. Again, it took 52.51, so a second slower than the winner of that heat to advance to the final last year. So we move along to heat number 2. This is Rachel Joseph, the junior from Iowa State. She has run 50.88. She did that at the Big 12 indoor a couple weeks ago.
Well, over the last 2 seasons, Rachel Joseph has broken the 400-meter indoor record at Iowa State 7 different times. She also owns the school record in the 200 meters indoors and 200-meter outdoors. She is putting together a great couple of seasons, and she's just one of 5 women in the field who have broken 50 seconds this season, and she's in a good position there out in lane 6.
In lane 5, it's the junior from LSU and Nigeria, Ella Onajuevo. We will be calling her Ella going forward. This is her debut. She had a nice race at the SEC meet. She is an Olympian. She was a semifinalist in the 400 and a member of their mixed 4x400 relay, so she has Olympic experience, which is invaluable when you come back to college.
Well, she ran a great semifinal race at the SEC championships, but then she false started in the finals. I was really looking forward to seeing what she could put together in the finals against a really good group, like Aaliyah Butler and Bella Whitaker, but we didn't get a chance to see her.
Inside Valcourt of Tennessee, Burton of Pittsburgh in 4, and then Ella in 5, and Rachel Joseph on the outside in 6.
Well, nice tempo for Onajuevo right there in the first 100 meters.
Giovanna Valcourt digging hard in lane 3, but it's so hard to do as Onajuevo does get the pole, and with a gap. She is moving, 23.7 for the first 200 meters, and she's got 3 meters on second place. Now she's got to focus. She knows that 51.51 was the winning time in heat number 2, or heat number 1, I should say. Here comes Rachel Joseph closing that gap a little bit, and Onajuevo starting to falter. Here comes Joseph. Does she have enough? No. It's going to be Onajuevo that's going to win the heat, 51.61, so a tenth slower than heat number 1. It gives us a little insight into what's happening with this track. She really ran hard down to get that pole.
Well, that was a bold strategy that definitely paid off. You can see she was paying the price, and I'll tell you what, if you don't feel like that in the last 100 meters of the 400, then you just certainly didn't go out hard enough. But it was just interesting to see her. Look at her begin to tie up, but she does a really great job of continuing to swing her arms and move down the track. See where you're going, see that finish line, and continue to move towards it. Rachel Joseph, she did a really good job moving up to the outside. She just made a move a little bit too late.
So there are the official results. Ella Onajuevo of LSU wins the heat, but more importantly runs a time that at this point in time looks like it would be an easy qualifier, but there's still 2 heats remaining. Rachel Joseph closed the gap nicely in that last 50-60 meters, ended up second. The bowl now 52.91 with 2 heats remaining, and heat number 3 will feature from Arkansas, the sophomore, Kaylin Brown. And talk about Olympic experience. She has 2 Olympic medals. She won a silver medal in the heats of the 4x4 mixed relay, and then a gold medal when the U.S. won the 4x400 relay in Paris.
Well, get used to us saying it, certainly. Kaylin Brown, she maybe the breakout athlete of the year last year at the Tom Jones Invitational, about midway through the outdoor season. She dipped under 50 seconds, and she didn't look back. She continued to run well the rest of the season. Thought she might make the open 400 meters at the Olympic trials, but she managed to get on the relay pool, and she was very effective for the U.S. there over in Paris. There's Dejanay Oakley. And what's interesting is Georgia did not bring a big team, but the people they brought are absolutely quality. The Texas transfer has a lot of great experience. She's a Big 12 champ over 400 meters, but she brings instant credibility and another person to plug into this great Georgia Bulldog squad.
Oakley from Jamaica is the number 5 time amongst collegians in 2025.
Kaylin Brown had a little bit of a hamstring issue in the early part of the indoor season, and they didn't run her very much, but every time we've seen her run a couple of different times now at the SEC championships, and each time she runs a race, she looks a little bit better. She's able to close just a little bit more. And the way they do it at the University of Arkansas is they want to run fast on the first lap, make people hurt, make them work hard to try to catch up.
So 2 athletes from the SEC in this race in 5 and 6, Oakley and Brown. Number 3 and 4 in the country this year. On the inside, Kyle Williams of UCF, then Oblad of BYU, Oakley of Georgia, and Kaylin Brown on the outside for Arkansas.
Well, I like Kaylin Brown. She just gets up and going, and right away you see just outstanding turnover, but she hasn't shaken Dejanay Oakley.
Dejanay Oakley is in a good spot to get the pole. She's going to have to accelerate here, and she ends up getting it with no restriction whatsoever, but 24-second first 200. That's the slowest of the 3 heats so far, as Kaylin Brown now making a move to get the lead on the backstretch.
Well, Kaylin Brown did the right thing there. She tried to pass on the straightaway. You do not want to pass right here, but she was not able to make the pass.
That's Sami Oblad trying to make the move on the outside. It's Oakley is going to hold off Kaylin Brown. 51.86 unofficially for the winner of heat number 3, corrected to 51.85. So they're all bunching around mid 51s to 52 so far with 1 heat remaining.
I'll tell you what, you want to break somebody's spirit when they come up alongside you on the back straight and they're trying to pass you. If you can hold them off there, they've just burned a little bit of energy. Don't let them pass. Dejanay Oakley just ran this race beautifully, and then again down the home straight, Kaylin Brown looked like she was going to make another move. And this is just guts. This is just will. Is my will greater than yours? And Dejanay Oakley right there manages to hold off Kaylin Brown and come away with the heat win.
So with those times through 3 heats, the bubble goes down to 52.27, which is faster than last year. As you see the official results, Dejanay Oakley with a time that certainly will qualify. Kaylin Brown, 52.06. A very fast heat with 4 fast times could knock her out, but she probably looks good for Section 1 final tomorrow. 1 more heat remaining. Fastest time so far still from the first heat, 51.51. All right, 4th and final heat, and this is Aaliyah Butler of Georgia, the junior, also a Paris Olympian.
Well, things turned around for her last year when she did not make the final at the NCAA championships, and she came back to Eugene a couple weeks later, and she makes the Olympic team in the 400 meters. And there's Isabella Whitaker, but Aaliyah Butler, what an indoor season she's been having. She runs 49.78 at the SEC championships, and Aaliyah takes over the number 2 all-time collegiate time, number 2 all-time American, and number 6 all-time in the world. And there, Bella Whitaker, she takes over the number 3 all-time collegiate mark.
And how about to open the season, Bella Whitaker ran a 2:02 800 meter as well. No surprise, of course, given the Whitaker family. And she said that obviously she was able to keep her focus on the 400, but likely going to see her in a couple of 800s come outdoor season. You'll see her probably jump up in distance just a little bit, but showcasing just her strength and range, Dan, that she has.
So again, it's 2 SEC 400-meter runners on the outside. Butler in 5, Whitaker in 6. The bubble time 52.06. That's Kaylin Brown. So right now, that because of the way they draw it, she would be in the Section 2 final. The bubble 52.27. From the inside, Yemi John of Southern Cal, Foot of San Diego State, then Butler in 5, Whitaker of Arkansas on the outside.
Well, we've seen this race a couple times already this season, Dwight. Aaliyah Butler versus Isabella Whitaker, and Aaliyah Butler always takes the lead. And you wonder if Isabella Whitaker, is she going to do something different? Is she going to try a different strategy? This is how it played out in both rounds at the SEC Championships.
24 seconds flat for 200 again, so they got some work to do to make sure their time will qualify. It is Butler still leading Whitaker. Whitaker running that extra distance to try and find another gear up this finishing stretch. But Butler is going to hold her off, except that she lets up at the end. 51.61. That's a time that will certainly advance her. They both got the same time, but Butler got the lead at the tape for the win. But it's inconsequential in these 400-meter qualifiers. That's going to drop the bubble time as well. We're already faster than we were in 2024.
Well, I was a little concerned about Isabella Whitaker there. She just let Aaliyah Butler take the pace, and you forget when you're watching a race like this that they have to run for time, and Aaliyah Butler just didn't go out that fast. And if you're just relying on the leaders to take you through in the times you need, then sometimes you may just get left out. But nice move by Isabella Whitaker. Yemi John coming up there to try to get in. Not sure she made it to the finals, but Aaliyah Butler, control from start to finish.
Well, you can see how tight it was. Just 35 hundredths of a second separating the fastest time from the last qualifier, but it's Mbaya Masbarewa of Auburn who has the fastest time. They'll be in a two-section final tomorrow. Again, the winner will be determined on time.